Welcome to Top Newsmakers of the Year. I'm Andrew Donovan. It's time for our annual look back at the reporting that mattered most to you. What a year of interviews here on Newsmakers. We begin with a look back at the conversation that was hard to make happen, years in the making. A sitting governor visiting this studio for a rare exclusive interview. Governor Kathy Hochul. Governor, thank you so much for being here.
Great to see you again, Andrew.
You're in Syracuse off of a couple of fun visits. You were at the Varsity for some pizza, where I think you know that place pretty well.
I used to work there in 1980. I was the person who called out the numbers when the pizzas are ready. So a great place of history. It celebrates its 100th anniversary next year, so I promised I'd come back with a nice proclamation from the governor. It does get a little frustrating that people continue to go on a narrative which is no longer accurate. Yes, there was a time when the bail laws were changed and discovery changed and everything was changing, and it really loosened the requirements. It made it more difficult for people who committed serious crimes or committed crimes at all to have the consequences that are required. That's how you keep society safer. That's what laws are supposed to do. What I had to do in 2 consecutive sessions of the legislature, including the year before last, I had to push the legislature further than they wanted to go, and that's why our budget was late. The numbers in Syracuse, I mean, crime is down dramatically. We had record low numbers of violent crimes and shootings because I saw we had a problem here a few years ago. I came here, I convened everybody, sat down with the mayor and chief of police and everybody, it's my experts. I said, this is not okay. We have to make Syracuse safer. Now we're seeing record low numbers in shootings and other violent crimes. And I just put another $20 million into policing Syracuse, but also diversion programs and violence disruptor programs and programs for youth to have other options. So it was a very holistic approach, and now we're seeing the benefits of that. We're not done yet, though. I'm not spiking the football. There is no mission accomplished. We're going to continue, but no governor has spent more money on law enforcement and policing and public safety than I have, bar none.
Micron could very well define your legacy, at least locally. But people are getting skeptical because there's not a shovel in the ground yet. And I know there's environmental reviews. We saw it with the I-81 project. It took a long time. Is there anything the state can do to advance that project quicker? Because we know the federal government is considering trying to cut through some of the red tape, so to speak.
No, we have been, and shovels will be in the ground in 2025. They are committed. I am in regular communication with them. My Empire State Development team is working with them. We're working through the environmentals. And yes, I think it is taking too long, but they're following a lot of requirements that are statutory in New York State. But it's going to be transformational when it happens, and I cannot wait. And even the fact that Micron is investing in building a child care center already. They've also invested money in this clean room over at OCC. That's because they believe this will happen, and I believe them. And this is going to be exciting.
You went to college in this community. You know it very well. You see the I-81 project. I know you had to travel it just to get around town today. You see Micron coming. Compare the Syracuse of when you were here as a student compared to the Syracuse of you being here as governor.
No comparison, and I love that. This is a region steeped in history, and we're celebrating the 200th anniversary of the Erie Canal. That transformed and made Syracuse a powerhouse, as well as Rochester, Syracuse, Buffalo. This whole region was on fire back then, and then we lost it. So many of these businesses left, and they left us without a future. And when I came here, Syracuse, I used to take the Greyhound from the Buffalo Greyhound station to the Syracuse one. They were both scary places for an 18-year-old with a backpack, I assure you. I can't believe my parents just left me there. But I survived it, but there wasn't hope. I knew when I graduated, I would likely not stay in this community, just like all my siblings had to leave this state at that time. There's no way that that is the same reality today. We are begging for people to come here, get that degree here, whether it's at Lemoyne or Syracuse or OCC or any of our other grade schools. You have that degree, guess what? You don't have to leave. You can live here, and there's a great quality of life here. Downtown is far more vibrant. Nobody from the university ever went downtown when I was a student. They were different worlds. So the mayor's done a great job. We have a great relationship with Mayor Walsh. He has been transformational in terms of what he has done. We're building more housing, we're taking care of issues, but this is a whole different world, and I could not be proud to be governor at this moment in history.
Well, as a lifelong New Yorker, it's an honor to have you here.
Thank you
for making time. Thanks to your team for getting you here. Really appreciate it.
Really, let's do it again.
Thanks, Governor. Appreciate it. We like to get to all levels of government here on Newsmakers, including conversations with county executives, including the Onondaga County executive. Much of his focus has been Micron, with construction delayed a bit, but on track for work in the new year.
I think the other thing that's important, Andrew, is that every major semiconductor project in this country is not going through the same federal environmental review and local and state environmental review. This is literally the largest, most regulated project in the history of our country. And some would argue that's not a good thing, but if you're a concerned environmentalist, that is a good thing because you have the agencies that are tough. Micron is major for Onondaga County, but Oneida County is celebrating Chobani's plans to bring a yogurt-making plant to the former Griffiths Air Base in Rome.
Really, we came to this agreement in February. It just took a little while to get the announcement, but it was really, as I say, one of the fastest ones. The team was up periodically. We were on the phone, if not daily, like 4 or 5 different times during the week, and even on the weekends. And just between my team and the state's team at Empire State Development, it really came together. He met with the governor at one point during that, kept in contact with me on a regular basis, and again, here we are. I mean, it was really, he wanted to be in New York, and he made that really clear. He wanted, but he needed to make the right business decision, and he needed to make the right land decision, and our site gives them not only the ability to build a 1.4 square million foot manufacturing facility, it gives them room to grow.
Top Newsmakers of the Year is back after this. Another trip I made this year was to Washington, D.C., where Syracuse police officer Michael Jensen and Onondaga County Sheriff's Deputy Michael Husak were 2 men among the many local heroes honored at Police Week. I made the trip to make sure the moving ceremonies got the attention they deserved here at home. Among the hundreds looking for loved ones at the Officers Memorial is Oswego County Deputy Jaya Adams.
Got it.
Or her best friend from the police academy, Kaylee Campbell's name, is now engraved.
It's still hard. You almost don't want to look at it because then that makes it a reality. But it's amazing that she is being honored here and that she's not forgotten and something is permanent now in stone.
If Adams' eloquence sounds familiar, she spoke at Deputy Campbell's funeral last year.
How hard were those days?
Probably the hardest that I've ever had and definitely not something that I expected to go through, especially so early on into my career.
Campbell, killed in a crash in Volney, is one of 345 names added to the wall, engraved over the last few weeks and unveiled during Police Week. Every step, it seems we find another Central New York officer. Onondaga County Sheriff's Lieutenant Michael Husak is one of 2 officers killed in an ambush last year.
It's the national memorial, so it's all of the police officers that have been killed in the line of duty, and just to be able to have a knowledge that he's there and that he, died doing what he loves, was just kind of something cathartic, I think, that needed to happen.
Husak killed by the same gunman as Syracuse police officer Michael Jensen.
We went to the wall today. What was that like?
I didn't know what to expect. I didn't realize there's so many names that are on the wall. I don't think it's sunk in.
There are deaths that got less attention when they happened, including Oneida Indian Nation police officer Ronald Owen. He caught COVID-19 on the job the first year of the pandemic and didn't survive. His chief, David Verne, made sure his name was on the wall and that his family was there to see it.
There was only so long they were going to allow you to get on the wall. You can get on the wall up to 5 years. And I just wanted to put Ron where he belonged. He died in the line of duty. He died doing what he loved, and he needed to be recognized and honored on the Law Enforcement Memorial.
Names kept coming to our attention, like DEC Lieutenant David McShane and Cortland County native retired state trooper Stephen Bilodeau, both of whom died last year from a 9/11 related illness, and an Auburn native, Michigan State police officer Daniel Kerstetter.
You go through it and you feel like nobody else feels how you do, and then you come here and you see everybody who's kind of grieving and celebrating and going through all the same emotions that you are, and so you don't feel alone. You feel like a family.
Another unfortunate focus this year has been the crisis at state prisons. The strike earlier this year and the beating deaths of inmates Robert Brooks at Marcy and Messiah Nantwi at Midstate. Some of the criminal cases are still unfolding and will continue in the new year, but there was a trial for 3 of the charged officers. After 2 of them were acquitted, the special prosecutor, the Onondaga County District Attorney, was my guest on Newsmakers.
When they acquitted Mr. Kiefer of offering a false instrument for filing, when the instrument that he's required by law to file said that all force stopped before entering the emergency room, they were sending a message that we were not going to convict these 2 guys no matter what you did.
And why do you think that was?
Just following orders defense, which, you know, wasn't successful at Nuremberg, but was successful there. Lower level of involvement, which has always been my approach to the case, which is why we made both of them fair offers beforehand. Gallagher never wanted anything, never suggested he would plead to anything. Kiefer wanted, I don't know, I think 5 years in state prison or 4 years in state prison. I said, no, that's not enough for your conduct.
You hadn't lost a jury trial, am I right, since 1982?
It's been a while, yeah.
Sorry to
bring it up. What time is it now? 21:18? No.
Does it sting?
Not for that reason. It stings because 2 guys that were involved in the murder of a young man who did nothing wrong on that date was serving time. That's what stings. But what alleviates the pain of that is the conviction of the other guy, the promise I made to Robert Jr. that we would get the 4 worst actors, Farina, Anzalone, Walrath, and now Kingsley. They will be doing, respectively, 22, 22, 15, and life in prison.
We'll be back with more Top Newsmakers of the Year. Another rare interview this year was with Pyramid CEO Steve Conjal, owner of Destiny USA, who was willing to take my questions about finances and talk about mall security.
This is our flagship asset. This is our hometown. We're going to do everything possible to ensure the financial security of this asset. And the lenders know that, and therefore they've been willing to work with us.
You have lost malls, Palisades, Hampshire, Aviation, Champlain, maybe Walden Galleria. So how do you save Destiny specifically with that track record?
Well, we've lost a few malls. Take a look at all of my peers in the industry. Everyone has lost malls. And it's a function of, again, it's a function of oversupply in our industry. The internet has had an impact. Consumer preferences have changed and have had an impact. There's an oversupply of malls in our industry. You know, sometimes as a mall owner, you have to make a difficult decision to let a property go, and we've had to do that a few times. But it's not uncommon in our industry, and I really think that chapter is behind us.
How is this mall safer than it was on Black Friday of 2019 and even 1 or 2 years ago?
Sure. It's a lot safer. We have been faced with a lot of the challenges that a lot of other properties of this scale, other communities, other geographic regions. You know, during the COVID timeline, there was a lot of social unrest across our country. A lot of times changed very dramatically for a lot of people. You know, what we had done up to that point was working, but because some things changed in our society, we had to adjust and pivot because of that. You know, again, we're a very high-profile property. We're the largest tourism attraction in Central New York. Millions of people come through this property every year, so it gets a lot of attention. And every little thing that happens here ends up on the evening news. We accept that fate, but you know, we've made an awful lot of changes, both physical changes in terms of the systems and equipment that we use, how we structure our personnel, the type of personnel that we hire, and probably most importantly, the partnerships that we enhanced and developed.
This year, Syracuse lost a giant, former Common Council President Van Robinson. His widow, Linda Brown Robinson, joined me for an edition of Newsmakers to talk about Van's memory. How do you want Van to be remembered in this community?
I think everybody's going to remember him as a gentle giant because he could get his words across and he didn't have to raise his voice. And he didn't. Because I used to say to him, can you just scream? Can you just holler? That was not his way because his mother taught him you don't scream and holler. If you see somebody you know, you walk across the street. And Van would, if he couldn't get across the street, Van would just wave and reach him at another time. But I think he's a gentle giant.
All right.
And he's probably running things up there.
I'm sure he is. Thank you so much for sharing
Thank
those
you.
memories. Thanks for joining us. Newsmakers got out of the studio for a guest who's been out of this world. Now retired astronaut Jeanette Epps visiting her alma mater, Lemoyne College, and sitting down with us for her first interview back on Earth's surface. I had the distinct honor, along with photographer Will Hool, of being at the Kennedy Space Center for those days and for your launch. Do you remember what that moment was like when it was T-0 and you felt the propulsion and you were going up?
I think we all kind of looked at each other in the shuttle and was like, oh my gosh, this is actually going to happen. But as soon as you start lifting off, it's like an amusement park ride, and we all screamed like kids on a roller coaster ride. It was surreal and amazing at the same time.
You did the scream?
Oh, we definitely did the scream. We tried to put our hands up, but we're strapped in a seat, so we can't do too much. It was amazing.
Top Newsmakers of the Year is back after this. It's a season of transition for the city of Syracuse. After 2 terms, 8 years, Mayor Ben Walsh says goodbye. How have your wife and daughters fared the last 8 years, and how are you looking forward to returning some of your time to them?
Yeah, it's funny, looking back at the pictures from when we started 8 years ago, that's a lifetime, and with kids growing up, and my oldest daughter's 16 now, my youngest is 12, and much of their conscious lives have been with me as mayor, and so I think it's an adjustment for them, but it's one that they're excited about, and certainly I can say that about my wife, Lindsay. She's ready. She has been just an amazing partner and rock for me. She has held it down at home for the past 8 years while working a full-time job, and I think we're all excited for the change. But I think we all feel really good about how we did this together over the past 8 years.
Please thank them for their service and letting the city borrow you for 8 years. And for my final question, I will basically give you free rein. What would your message be to this community?
Just thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. This has been just an incredible experience, and I'm just so proud of this community. I think we are incredibly resilient. I think, as I said, in my first State of the City, I truly believe our best days are ahead of us. I think we are moving closer towards that vision. So just thank you for the opportunity to serve, and I can't wait to see what's ahead for all of us as I continue to be a proud member of the Syracuse community.
Well, it's been an honor to cover you and your administration. It's neat for me to be able to say I covered you from day 1 as mayor to year 8. So that's an honor and a privilege. And your team has been incredibly accessible to us at News Channel 9, you personally and the team you've built.
Yeah.
And so I thank you, and I thank all of them for their hard work. Special thanks to Greg Lowe on your team, who I know is wrapping up his city service too.
He's the best.
Mayor Walsh, thank you so much.
Thanks, Andrew. It's been a pleasure.
Our last look back is a nod to the future. Just after her election, we had the new mayor of Syracuse, Sharon Owens, on Newsmakers, and what turned out to be one of my favorite television moments to be a part of, we surprised her. Do you know what this is, Mayor-elect?
No.
Okay. What is it, Executive Director?
Well, first of all, congratulations, so Deputy Mayor. We're excited, and what a historic moment. When you are sworn in January, we'll invite you to the Onondaga Historical Association to sign the mayor's book.
My goodness.
Which starts with Harvey Baldwin, our first mayor.
Wow.
And there is a space for you as our 55th mayor. Now, there are a couple of spaces here. We had a couple of mayors who served twice, not consecutively.
Right.
But number 55 will be you.
It's going to be me.
And we have gloves for you if you want to
I do. I
give
just
it
wanna
a little touch.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. This is amazing.
This book is about 175 years old.
It is,
Harvey
yes.
Baldwin, the first mayor of Syracuse, signed it, and
Yep.
it's been a tradition ever since.
It
We
has.
strategically at the watch night had me speaking under his picture.
I noticed that.
Yes.
So
Oh, my goodness.
we're thrilled. And when you look at the list of mayors, the first thing, of course, I think of is, you know, we're on the verge of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And I don't know if anybody would have thought at this time that we would have a black female mayor.
I know.
So we're truly making history, and you are going to be in a long list of people who had such an impact on this city, and I know you will as well.
Mayor Owens will add her signature to that book in the weeks ahead as she takes office. That does it for Top Newsmakers of the Year. I can't thank you enough for making us part of your week each and every week. For all the hardworking people of News Channel 9, Happy New Year.
Download the WSYR Plus app on your TV to stream News Channel 9 for free. Just go to your smart TV, search WSYR Plus in the App Store, and download to start streaming today.